Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Monday night call. My name is Sonia Marquez and I'm a wife, a mom of 3 athletic kids and a sales coordinator with the Juice Plus company. I'm so excited to be your hostess this evening for a very special event featuring Jason Fowler and London Culbreath on mindset and nutrition. Tonight, you're going to hear stories of hope and inspiration as we share our hearts and a part of our journey with you. Although I am not an elite athlete, I'd like to share a little bit of why I'm so passionate about health and wellness. I used to think I was healthy. I thought I was doing all the right things. I was eating well, I was staying active, I was an ideal weight, and then I was having trouble getting pregnant. And I found out I had endometriosis, which caused inflammation, bloating, a lot of pain, chronic pain, and I lived with Advil. Advil was my go-to pill. Sometimes the pain was so bad I would be laid up in bed. But eventually I was able to have children, and when we had our first son, I decided to leave the corporate job and come home, stay home full time. And within 26 months, I became a full-time mom of 3 little ones, exhausted, overwhelmed, and running on empty day after day. And to make it even harder, we practically lived at the pediatrician's office. Between the 3 of them, someone was always sick and we were getting on antibiotics. And, you know, I thought that was normal. One of our twins had chronic ear infections and had to have multiple ear tube surgeries. And he later developed asthma and needed daily medication and an inhaler. It wasn't until a late night visit to Boston Children's Hospital ER 4 years ago that I had my wake-up call. I can still recall anxiously sitting there with my husband as we awaited a doctor to give us an update on the tests and scans from our 8-year-old son. And when the doctor came in, I remember the words, large mass in kidney and Dana-Farber, and my heart sank. The very next day, we were sitting across from oncologists at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and I kept thinking, how did this happen? I thought we were healthy. We were admitted that night. You know, he needed a 9-hour surgery to take out his kidney and the tumor growing inside of it, and within days, the cancer was confirmed. Watching our son go through chemo, watching our son go through chemo were some of my hardest days as a mom. But it was then that I decided to be the cancer warrior mother. And I decided to be a better advocate for my health and the health of our family. So when one of my closest friends shared with me an easy way to start flooding our bodies with whole food nutrition from a variety of fruits, vegetables, and berries, I said yes. I said yes because I knew we needed more nutrition from real food. I said yes because as a mom, I wanted an easy button, and this was safe for our whole family. And I wanted peace of mind to know that we were on the road to better recovery and better health. Cancer has absolutely changed me, but so has the power of whole food nutrition. Today, our family's thriving. Our son has been in remission 3.5 years. I am healthiest in my mid-40s than I've ever been. I have more energy to be active with our 3 children, run a household, and run a business from home. You know, I don't need any more over-the-counter meds, no more Advil. Our children are no longer on inhalers or medication and are no longer on the antibiotic of the month club. And because this nutrition has been such a gift to our family, I knew I needed to share this. So now I get to earn a paycheck while raising my children and helping others, and that is priceless. I get to say yes to so much more because of my good health. And I know that the good nutrition can help everyone. So you were invited here tonight because someone cares enough about you to hear this message of hope. So please remember to feel free to use the chat button, ask questions, and we'll try to address them at the very end. So now I'm excited to introduce my friend, Jason Fowler. Jason is a world-class athlete, a 2-time Ironman triathlete. He has competed in over 150 road races, 40 marathons, and 43 triathlons. Wow. Jason also has over 20 years experience in the corporate world and now works as a mindset coach and human potential coach for young athletes. More importantly, Jason is a really awesome guy. And Kathy, I just need to be able to share my screen. It's not letting me. I'm going to quickly share my screen and show you a quick video of Jason's story. 1 minute, we're having a little technical difficulty. Here we go.
When I was 17, had an accident on my motocross bike and was out practicing. Hit a rock and some grass and it sent me flying. I landed straight down on my head and instantaneously lost feeling. Being in the hospital, and all of a sudden the physician comes in. We've got good news, we've got bad news. The bad news is you're never gonna walk again. The good news is people with your circumstances, they lead normal, active lives. And I'm thinking, what does that mean? The first time I got in a racing wheelchair, it was the first time that I felt free. It was the first time that I forgot about my accident. I forgot about the previous 6 months where heartache and crying and I won't say depression, but just a really challenging time. And for me, jumping in a racing wheelchair, the first time was just blissful. Racing was the one thing that allowed me to forget about my accident, forget about what I could do and focus on what I could do. And I was a horrible wheelchair racer to start. I mean, horrible. For me, that was an amazing and huge challenge to sort of overcome and to tackle. And it made me forget everything that I didn't have and got me excited about life again. I've been to 5 Ironman World Championships, and what keeps me going and what keeps me continuing to push is that every year and every cycle of training.
1 second. Oh. Goodness gracious, technology, huh? It just froze for me, so let me try again. Sorry, everyone. Let me try it.
That every year and every cycle of training.
My goodness. Okay, let's fast forward a little. My apologies. Try one more time.
Triathlon, all I want to do is win. All I want to do is qualify for the World Championships and win the World Championship. And then slowly over time, I won. I went through a lot of challenge, but I won. And then I got to winning and really felt empty. Felt like, is this all that it's all about? And then did a lot of self-work and self-discovery to find that there's a lot more underlying why I was doing triathlon and what that was all about. And really allowed me to find myself in a way that guided me on life's journey in a unique way. Everybody in life is going to have challenges, and it's really how you look at those challenges that either makes or breaks your life. And all experiences in all of our lives are just a collection of experiences. And so if you can look at it in a positive light, it's just so much more powerful. So I quit my corporate job after 16 years and decided to start coaching. And I think really, for me, it was a calling that I knew I always wanted to help others and share what I've learned, starting as a teenager and having coaches and people that challenge me and push me outside my comfort zone. A lot of us are in this middle zone of never really achieving and never really failing. And I want more people to achieve and I want more people to fail. And I feel like we're all here and we all have gifts to give. And I think just being open to failing and achieving just makes us feel alive. And I want more people to feel that in their lives.
Okay. I'm going to stop there and hand it over to Jason.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sonia. And first, thank you for sharing your story, Sonia. That was amazing, and amazing what you guys have gone through as a family. And I'm sure it's made you stronger. And it sounds like nutrition and mindset are obviously a huge part of your life and your story. And super heartfelt. I was like, I saw you start tearing up. I was like getting emotional. I was like, it's pretty cool. So thank you for that. Thanks everybody for joining, and especially right now where things are so crazy in this world, and it felt like a good time to do this specifically and this forum. And it feels so different to be talking into a screen and not in front of you all. It's so much easier when you can see everybody's faces, and so that's a bummer, but you know, we do the best with what we have, and I think that's definitely a lesson that I've learned over my life. But I'd like to just talk a little bit about my journey, and I'm here not really as the expert, but just really sharing my story, and I hope that you guys can get something from it. I hope you get something from it, and everybody's going to get something different. And I always say that everybody has their Ironman, and for me, it's been Ironman, so it's been triathlon, right? Swim, biking, run, and that seems hard, and that seems abnormal, and you may put that on a pedestal, or you may put that out to somewhere where you don't think you could do that, or whatever that may be. And I'm here to say that you can. And I'd like to first just tell you what I'd love for you to get from this before we even start, is that it's not your skills, it's not where you've came from, it's not what you've done so far, it's not how much money you have, it's not the color of your skin, it's not if you sit in a wheelchair or you don't sit in a wheelchair. It's really how you look at it, as I put in my video, and it's the mindset behind that. And mindset seems like not really the right term. I'm not sure there's a word for it, because it's what we feel. As I put in my video, I had an accident when I was 17 years old. I grew up racing motorcycles, and I was never the fastest, I was never the strongest to start. Fast forward 4 years of racing and training every single day, and I was at the top of my class. Fast forward to when I was 17 and I landed on my head. I just had a process in my mind. It didn't matter if it was motocross, if it was wheelchair racing. It didn't matter what it was. That process was the same for me. It was how to get the best from myself. And it was coming from the place of growth and the place of mindset being important. So what I want to teach you guys, and what I hope you'll get from this, is that, again, it's not your skills, it's your mindset, and it's the way that you're looking at things. And also the nutritional component of what you're putting in your body, which feeds your mind. And that those are such big parts of what we do. And so I'm in the hospital, and my mom comes up to me and she says, we're going to give you 2 weeks to feel bad for yourself, and then we're going to get on with life. And so that was where I was coming from. And that was where my family was coming from. And that's the attitude that we took. And so right away I got into wheelchair racing, and I did my first 5K. I did my first 5 miler. I'll never forget my first road race, which is a 5 miler. And the winner came back 4 miles to meet me. And so I was so slow that he literally could come back 4 miles to beat me. He came back 2 miles to beat me after winning the race. And so I say this because when I first started, again, I was not a very good wheelchair racer. The same thing happened when I first did my first triathlon. I got out there, I got into the swim. I was doing the doggy paddle in the swim and the backstroke. And then I got onto the bike, and I'll never forget getting to mile 12 of the bike. And all of a sudden, literally, this little old lady on a Pee Wee Herman style bicycle with a sunflower in the front basket passed me. And I thought, wow, what am I doing out here? And so, to say the least, I had some lessons learned there. I did pass her in the run, and that made me feel good. But I say that because we all have to start somewhere. And And for me, it's always just, how do I get better at what I do? And so I did my first 5-miler, and then I did a half marathon, and then I did a marathon. And so each step was just another goal to be better. And for me, it was sort of unlocking what worked for me, what allowed me to do that. And that was really a collection of mindsets. And again, it didn't matter if it was motocross, if it was road races or marathons, it was the same thing. It was just having really clear goals, being consistent with that. And what I learned from that was that it was the mundane every day. It was the 5 or 6 days a week of training. It wasn't that any one day was very long. It was that, well, when I first thought about even doing a marathon, I thought, how am I ever going to even make it? I would make it 15 or 16 miles, and I'm going, well, my arms are going to fall off. And then finally, I just would push myself, and I realized there was so much more in the tank than I thought was there. And so in addition to having clear goals and being consistent, I just knew that there was so much more in me. And I think that really came from a place of just believing. And so I say all this, and this is really the reason that I became a coach, was that all this is trainable. This isn't something that you sort of acquire by circumstance, or it's given to you, or you're born with it, or winners are born, or natural leaders are born, or any of that. It all comes to you via you challenging yourself, putting goals in front of you. And the other thing is you don't do it alone. And I quickly learned that. I shouldn't say quickly learned that. Actually, I was a slow learner in that department. And I always looked for help for other people, but I didn't realize how much they were actually helping me. And it wasn't until later that I really appreciated that and took a step back. And really, that's the new paradigm of competing, is that we don't do it alone. We need a team behind us. And it's the relationships that are in your life that are just as important. And I really didn't get that until later, which wasn't the best time to learn, but we all have our timing, right? And so all these little things sort of add up. And what that did was it forced me to challenge myself, right? So I always had that innate ability to challenge myself. And so after doing a marathon, which again was extremely hard and then got easy, and I got bored after 10 years of marathons and about 35 marathons, I got bored, and I started doing triathlons. And the same thing, I thought, wow, I want to do an Ironman triathlon. I saw my childhood hero on TV growing up, and I said, oh man, that would be amazing. And but I hadn't swam or biked before. And so I started triathlon, and it was the same thing as when I did my first road race. I was very slow. I was a beginner, and I didn't have any natural skills or ability, except for I could do the run portion of the race. And I got out there and I did it, and pushed myself and fell quite a bit. But it was that pushing myself and that consistency. And again, it was the same process that I learned as a kid, that if you have clear goals, if you're consistent, and you have a team behind you, that you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to. And obviously there's a lot in between there that happens, and there's a lot of details that happen, but really it was how I looked at it and the mindset that I took. And that muscle just got built up over time. And so you can imagine 35 straight years of competing, your mind gets pretty strong. And the process gets pretty strong as to how you can compete and how you can be successful at what you do. So you put that together, and then I started winning championships, and I started winning Ironmans. And again, I've never been the strongest. I've never been the best athlete. Ask any of my competitors. I'm never the fastest, but I always put the work in, and I know what it takes to be my best. And I think that's what's important. It's not if you win or lose, but if you give your best. And that may seem coined, or but at the same time, it's what makes you feel good at the end of the day, or what makes me feel good. And in addition to that, the thing that has really made a difference in my competing and in my life in general is what I put in my body. And that's not only what I read or what I consume with my mind, but also my nutrition. And so the way that I look at nutrition, we basically have two categories. You have macros and micros, right? Or macros are sort of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And then you could get really crazy about nutrition. The level of detail, the science, it really, you can get just cuckoo about it. Meaning any science you want to prove, you can get online. If you want alcohol to be good for you, just Google alcohol is good for you, or wine is good for you, or beer is good for you, and you can find that online, or whatever that may be. One thing that has not been disproved is fruits and vegetables. And the more fruits and vegetables than you can eat in a day, the better that you can get. And so I eat basically for performance about 90% of the time. The other 5 to 10% of the time I eat for comfort, so food and French fries and onion rings or whatever that may be. And so the things that I focus on are not those macronutrients. I'm not concerned with exactly what that ratio is and getting too detailed about that. It would just take way too much time. And I'm more concerned with the phytonutrients and the micronutrients and all those things that you don't see on the label. So when you look at a traditional vitamin, you look on the label and it tells you exactly what's on there. Well, if you look at fruits and vegetables, if there was a label on a fruits and vegetables, the label would not fit on the fruit or the vegetable because there's hundreds and sometimes thousands of phytonutrients and nutrients that contain that. And so the only product that I take actually, and this is not a canned line, and this is not a corporate statement, is Juice Plus. Literally the only thing I take every day is Juice Plus. And the reason that I do that, and we've heard this a lot in the Juice Plus community, is it's an insurance policy. And I'd like to go a step further with that. And I can't see you right now, but raise your hand if you have insurance, if you own insurance in your life. Because I would not have a car without insurance. I would not have a home without insurance. I wouldn't have anything without insurance. And specifically, the reason I say insurance for nutrients is because we know that we're supposed to get, well, if you don't know this, well, I'm telling you now, you're supposed to get between 10 and 15 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And as an athlete, you're supposed to get more like 16 to 20 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. I don't know how many you're getting, but on a really good day, I get maybe 10. And I know that I'm not getting the colors of the rainbow, and I'm not getting all the stuff that I know I should be getting. And so I know when I take Juice Plus, and so just first I'll back up. What even is Juice Plus to begin with? It literally is freeze-dried fruits and vegetables in a capsule. So it has everything that a normal fruit and vegetable does, minus most of the fiber. And they do it in such a way that it preserves as much as the nutrients as possible. And so it's as close to nature. And that's the other thing is, for me, I've just always believed that nature knows best and it will take care and heal itself. And so it's the most powerful thing that we have access to in our planet, is just using nature. And so fruits and vegetables. And so it literally is freeze-dried fruits and vegetables, and it's in a capsule. And then there's also several other products like Complete, which they have a shake, and it's all based on whole plant-based nutrition. And so I take that, and really what it does is it ensures that I'm getting everything that I need, both to have the right energy on a daily basis, the best recovery on a daily basis. I don't get sick as much when I'm taking it. The other reason that I really love it is it's certified by it's this company or this organization called NSF, and it's independently verified that what's on the label and it says in the bottle is actually in the bottle. So it tells you where most other products aren't. And so you can be assured that it's safe to take the product. And so no matter if you're a mom, if you're an infant, or whatever that is, you know exactly what is in the bottle and what you're getting from it. And so so I love it for that. And the other thing is, if I don't take it, I notice a difference. And so for me, there's nothing more important than my health. As Sonia said at the beginning of the call, cancer and other just health related issues, you don't know until something has gone wrong. Just like insurance, you don't need it until something's gone wrong, right? So don't wait until something's gone wrong, because it's not like your car and you have a fender and you're going to just go get it fixed. For the most part, if you're not having good nutrition, it's not something that a physician, which we've relied too heavily on in this country, is to go and just fix something. And so, and not to say that you can't fix a bone or what have you, but when you're talking about good nutrition, there's just so much more to give in that department. So I love the product, and also it's just a big part of my nutrition. So Sonia, I would love for you to now we'd love to go on kind of the next step of this is introduced London Culbreath, and I'm super excited to be able to interview her. And thank you so much, London, for joining us. She's awesome, and I can't wait for you guys to hear what she's accomplished and hear from her.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much for sharing, Jason. I mean, I love everything you said about the mindset. And, do you want to just tell us later, like, how you got into that? Like, who was instilled that in you, just the mindset? Did you have coaches? Were your parents? Just really quickly before you.
Yeah, it really was my folks,
Okay.
my mom and dad. For whatever reason, they're just really super strong-minded. And I think just having that discipline and that structure and having that example as a kid. And also, I did have coaches as a teenager that opened my eyes to different things and the mindset components of it. And really it was them that as the basis of that. And then once I had that mindset of, I want to be better, I just searched and seek that out. And then obviously it just came to me in materials that I seeked out. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for saying that. So parents out there, if you're listening, it starts at home, right? Healthy starts at home, and that mindset and the nutrition components are great. So because Jason has been his new passion, what he's been doing is working with young athletes and helping them create the mindset of success and possibilities. We thought it'd be great to have London here tonight. So I'm going to quickly say something about London and her accolades. She is a young athlete who's achieved great success in her 18 years. She's a long distance runner from McKinney, Texas. She holds 9 state championship titles and has 62 consecutive UIL wins in cross country and track. She also has 2 national records, including the all-time freshman 2-mile record. London is also a recent 2020 graduate from McKinney North High School, and she will be attending the University of Arkansas to continue her academic and running career. So I'm gonna let Jason and London take it from here. Welcome, London.
All right, thank you for having me.
Hey, London, awesome. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for being with us. This is awesome. So first, I'd love for you just to explain how you got into running and sort of what excited you about running in the first place at a young age, and start with that.
All right, yeah. So I started off playing soccer, and that was my thing. And so we had a conditioning camp one time, and my coach, he had 4 different teams, about 20 girls on each team, and I was the youngest team. So there's about 80 girls at this conditioning camp, and he had us do a 2-mile time trial. And I came in second, and my dad saved the time, and he was like, he asked his brother who runs, and he was like, hey, is this a good time for a girl her age? I was probably around 10 years old. And my uncle, he goes, wow, like that's really good. You've got to get her into running. And so that's where it all started. And so whenever I did start running, I absolutely hated it. Like I would start crying whenever my dad would say, hey, you have practice today for track. Like I was like, soccer's what I do, But eventually, I started to like win these races, and I realized, okay, like I've been given an extraordinary gift, and, I need to glorify God through this and be appreciative. And so I think that's where my love for it started to grow. And then also whenever I got into middle school and I started to have a team where I could be goofy and, have all these friendships, that was also where it started to grow my love for it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you bring that energy of just having it be so fun, and but also that you were a normal kid, that this just didn't just come naturally. You had some struggle early on. What was that like to when you first were like, oh, I don't want to go to practice, or this wasn't my thing. What was that like for you?
I mean, it was hard, like not wanting to go do something, like nobody wants to do something they don't want to do. But, eventually, as my eyes started to open, like, whoa, okay, like God gave you this gift. Don't be, don't hate it. Like, like do it for him. Whenever I started to love it, it obviously made it so much more fun and enjoyable. Just like knowing my purpose for it, and just having a love and a team and all of those kind of things. Yeah.
So you've obviously consistently won, and your championships and your accolades are so cool. Like I mean that obviously you mentioned that as being something that helped you sort of along your path. And what do you think really sort of underlying all that? Even I'm sure, like, what were you like when you played soccer? And like I think what what can you sort of point to that you say, oh, this is what helped me be so successful? Like, you know, we're talking about mindset here, but it really could be anything. What do you think has sort of helped you?
Yeah, I think what helped me the most was just doing the little things. You know, everybody's working hard and putting in the hours. So I think you can get your advantage in the small things because they add up. And, you know, that could consist of going to bed on time, eating right, having a good mindset, icing, rolling, praying often, taking my Juice Plus. Like, I think if you can find any advantage you can get, you know, it'll add up. So that's just kind of what my mindset and approach to getting better has always been.
Awesome. Now, was a lot of your coaches, have they taught that along the way? Like the mindset component specifically, or, you know, outside of the skill part of it? Or is that something that you've just picked up from your parents, or where do you think you've picked that up from? Like just that discipline, because that really seems pretty consistent that you've picked that up. The fact that you mentioned the little things, I mean, I would say the exact same thing, and been an athlete for 40 years and you're like, you've got it. Like, where did you get that from? Where did that come from, you think?
I don't know. I feel like a part of me thinks I've kind of had it all along because I've been so competitive. It didn't matter what we were doing, whether it was like gym volleyball or spike ball or just like a little race at recess. Like, I did not want to lose, like, at all. So, I mean, even like kids would be like, I'm gonna chill. Like, it's just a, you know, whatever. But I'd be like, no, like, I want to win. Like, come on, team, like, get into it. So I've always been like super competitive. But I mean, my coaches and parents have always like helped keep instilling that into me as well. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a mixture.
What's the most ridiculous thing you've done after losing? Like that you look back at now, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Is there anything you want to share?
Ooh, I can't think of anything actually. I mean, I usually can control myself, but like inside, or like I'm screaming my head off, or like my friends are like, oh, like, you know, don't don't go near her. But I can usually like contain it. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, that's cool. I gotcha. So obviously we were talking about nutrition as well, and what's your nutrition like, or what's your daily routine like, and sort of how do you look at that?
Yeah, so I eat a lot. You know, all throughout the week, like at school, I would have a snack for every class period. And I've been told I eat like buffets before I run, you know, like eggs, a peanut butter toast or waffle or fruit, like a huge spread. And then after I run, I always immediately have to take something, whether it's like a Juice Plus complete shake or protein balls. Those are like my favorite. And then, you know, my snacks throughout the day. And I mean, lunch and dinner are usually the same. I eat so much, like a meat, pasta, maybe a baked potato, a lot of fruit, some veggies. I could probably do better on my veggies, but that's what Juice Plus is for too.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, I also take Juice Plus. So I take the berries, fruit, vegetables, omegas, and then the complete shakes. And so, yeah, I mean, I've like, whenever it comes to race day, I really like 2 weeks before, usually I really, you know, hone in and like, you know, eat really healthy. And I double up. So I would say like I usually have a pretty good diet like throughout the year, but closer to race time, I definitely get serious.
Cool. Well, it sounds like you eat pretty healthy. That's good. I mean, I know that you obviously have figured out. So are there times where you don't eat healthy, like that you're eating junk food or Twinkies, or like, what's your junk food?
Oh yeah. I have a really big sweet tooth. So like whenever it's not really close to season, here and there, you know, here and there, I'll just like eat different sweets. So like cookies, or I don't know, I love ice cream and popsicles and cake. Like, I have a big sweet tooth, so.
Okay. That's good. That's normal. I'm glad you're normal too then. All right. I can appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about Juice Plus. So how long have you been taking Juice Plus, and sort of how, what started that?
Yeah, so I mean, I've pretty much been taking Juice Plus since I was in the womb. My mom had been taking it before I was born, and it was pretty much non-negotiable. Like, I had to take it. It was not a choice. And so I think, as soon as I started to understand how much it helped in fueling my body and helping with recovery, is when I really started to, like realize its impact and its importance in my life. So, I mean, like I said earlier, it's the small things that add up, and, this is a little product, but it has a huge impact on my performance and, overall health and life. So.
I love that. Yeah, that's cool. And you always have a smile on your face every time you see, so that I love that. And it seems like you've really, and what you've said, like, and we talked about this before, is that you bring that fun and that excitement to athletics. And so where did that come from? And like, explain that, what that part of you, because I think we see that in other athletes, but the athletes that have fun just do better and they perform better and they're more fulfilled in what they do. So where did that come from for you? And like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to have fun, and I'm always wanting to be active or doing something. I hate just, being bored or not doing anything. So I know like some athletes that are like really high level, they're just really serious all the time and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously I'll be serious whenever it's race day, and I can have an equal balance. And I think that's where it's good. I love playing spike ball or volleyball, like I was saying, soccer too, or I like doing stuff with art, like crafty, getting creative, or just hanging out with friends or going outside, hiking. Like, I mean, I love doing stuff. And like I was saying, how people can get really serious at, national races. I remember, some kids are like rolling, like not talking to many people. And there was like a ping pong table, and I was over there just, like playing the whole time. And, obviously the day of the race, I'm like super focused, but like it's having a balance. So, I'm going to have fun whenever I can. And then whenever it's game time, it's game time. So.
I love that. I love that so much. It makes so much sense to me. It took me a long time. I was never like that as an athlete growing up, but as an adult, and it took me a few years, but like actually the new paradigm of high performing is that you perform on race day, but you also can have fun and enjoy the process, which I didn't get for a long time. So cool to see you have that attitude and that mindset towards that. And I'm sure you'll bring that to whatever you do. And it sounds like you do. Like, it doesn't have to be athletics. You sound like a goof around your friends and everything else. So that's awesome. I love that. So what advice do you have for other up and coming athletes or people that want to sort of achieve the same thing you have? If you had to give them words of advice, what would you say?
I would say, I mean, you have to start somewhere. You might not be like, I don't know, a huge athlete or something, but everybody has to start somewhere. Like I said, I hated running at first. It takes time. And then also, I think one of the biggest things I've learned as a runner is like, not one race defines you. So I would, because I was so competitive, it would make me upset whenever I would not perform well. And back to your previous question, if I like contained it, I will say I've cried a lot because, I don't like losing or, not performing the way I want. But I think one of the biggest things was not letting it get to my head and just knowing like one bad race is okay. We're all going to have ups and downs, and it's just kind of how you get up that really matters. So, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I have one last question for you. And this one's a little bit of a curveball for you, but I thought you have such a personality. I think what would be cool is we're going to make up our own race. So just imagine this for a second, London. Okay. You have a race where you have to cross the finish tape first, but you also, there's a second component to it. It's sort of a creative component where you have to wear a costume. So you have to wear a costume, and it could be any costume. Like what would you wear? Like, would it be an action figure, like a Wonder Woman, Superman kind of thing? Would it be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle? It could be an animal, whatever costume, but you had to wear a costume. So you have to think about how that was. So there's two components. You'd be score on your creativity and also on your speed. What would you be? What would your costume be?
Wow, that is a real curveball. I like that. Never been asked that before. I don't know why, but the first thing that came to my mind was Shrek. And I don't know why, but that was the first thing that came to mind.
Cool.
So, I mean, hey, a green ogre running across the tape, that'd be kind of cute.
Yeah, that would be. I think that'd be pretty cool. So I like it. All right, cool. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much. The last thing I wanted to mention, you guys, and then I'm going to hand it back over to Sonia, and I think she'll mention it as well, but we know that a lot of this stuff we didn't really get into a lot of detail, and we're going to do a little follow-up video as well for you all. But what we'd like to do is we're going to open it up at the very end. And if you guys want to enter in questions into the chat box on your screen or whatever that may be, you can do that. And then what we'll do is we'll answer any questions. We'll take those, we'll answer them, and then whoever invited you, you can get the follow-up call from them. So in the meantime, I'll hand it back off to Sonia. And again, thank you so much for your time, everybody, and I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, London. It's all yours, Sonia.
Thank you so much. I honestly feel like I could sit here for hours listening to the two of you share your wisdom. I love your energy. I love your positive mindsets. I love what you said about just believing yourself. You know, London, finding your purpose, that just knowing that you were given this gift and you were going to go and just do it. And it's about the little things, right? Those little things adding up day after day. So I love everything. Thank you. I know I'm going to just listen to this again because this is recorded. So I just wanted to quickly thank everybody for joining us tonight. And because we're short on time, you know, we will do a second follow-up session so that you can follow up with the person that invited you here tonight, and they'll make sure to get you that recording as well. So just in the last couple of minutes, you can put in any questions or comments you want for London and Jason on this chat button, and we'll make sure we'll collect those. But, you know, we just have one last thing to say. We want to obviously thank all of you for your time tonight, because we know that it's hard to get 30, 45 minutes to yourself these days. And I have one last slide I was going to show everyone in case you want to follow London and Jason on their Instagram. I'm going to show you that, and then we could, maybe Kathy can unmute, and we will say our thank you for everybody. Say our thank you from everybody to our... Hold on, let me see if I can do this, guys. Let's see. Can you see? That's where we have our contacts for Jason. If you want to reach out to him for mindset coaching or any questions, jasonfowler.co, no M, and his Instagram account. We've got London's Instagram, her mother Paula on Facebook. And thank you so much, everybody. Why don't we unmute and make sure we show our appreciation for Jason and London and the time they've given us tonight on this call.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Awesome.